I was standing in the middle of my own baby shower, wearing a soft pink dress, when my mother took the microphone and said something that made the entire room go silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said with a big smile, "I think there's been a small misunderstanding. This baby shower isn't actually for Lila. It's for my younger daughter, Brooke." For a second, I thought I had misheard her. I looked at my mother, then at my sister Brooke, who was standing beside her with a shy smile. The guests started whispering. Some looked confused, while others looked uncomfortable. My mother continued. "Brooke is also expecting, and since she's younger and this is her first child, we thought it would be better to celebrate her today. Lila already had her moment, so she won't mind sharing, right?" She looked at me with a fake sweet smile. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. This was supposed to be my baby shower. My husband Ethan and I had planned everything together. We sent the invitations, we chose the decorations, we even paid for most of it. And now, in front of almost 50 people, my own mother was announcing that it was actually for my sister? I looked at Ethan. He was standing near the cake table, holding a glass of juice. His face had gone completely blank. He was staring at my mother like he couldn't believe what he had just heard. My sister Brooke looked down at the floor, avoiding my eyes. I felt my hands start to shake. For a moment, I considered causing a scene. I wanted to ask my mother how she could do something so cruel. But something stopped me. Instead of reacting, I did something no one expected. I smiled. A small, calm smile. Then I picked up my purse from the nearby chair, looked at my mother, and said in a steady voice, "Enjoy the party, Mom." I turned around and started walking toward the exit. The entire room was staring at me. Some guests looked shocked, while others were already pulling out their phones. I could hear people whispering behind me. Just as I reached the door, I heard my mother's voice again. "Lila, don't be dramatic. Come back here." I didn't stop. I walked out of the hall, got into my car, and drove away. But I didn't go home. Instead, I went to a small cafe nearby and sat there alone for almost an hour. My phone was vibrating nonstop. My husband was calling me again and again. My mother had also started calling. I didn't pick up any of their calls. Because in that moment, something inside me had already decided. I was done. Done with being treated like I didn't matter. Done with my mother always putting my sister first. Done with staying quiet just to keep the peace. What they didn't know was that I had already taken a step they never expected. And by the time they realized what I had done, it would be too late. I sat in the cafe for almost an hour, staring at my phone as it kept vibrating on the table. Ethan had called me 12 times. My mother had called 8 times. Even my sister Brooke had sent me 3 messages. I didn't pick up any of them. I felt strangely calm. For years, I had let my mother treat me like I was second best. I had stayed quiet when she gave all her attention and love to Brooke. I had even convinced myself that maybe I was overreacting. But today, she crossed a line in front of everyone. She publicly humiliated me at what was supposed to be my baby shower. Around 6:30 p.m., I finally decided to leave the cafe. I didn't want to go home yet, so I booked a room in a nearby hotel. As I was checking in, my phone rang again. This time it was Ethan. I stared at his name on the screen for a few seconds before finally answering. "Lila," he said the moment I picked up. His voice sounded tense. "Where are you? I've been calling you for hours." "I'm safe," I replied. "I just needed some space." There was a short pause. "Your mother is losing her mind," he said. "She's been calling me nonstop, saying you embarrassed her in front of everyone. She wants you to come back and apologize." I let out a bitter laugh. She wants me to apologize after what she did? Ethan sighed on the other end. "Look, I know what she did was wrong, but maybe we should talk about this calmly. Running away isn't going to solve anything." I stayed quiet for a moment before asking, Ethan, did you know she was going to do this? There was a long silence. Ethan? I said again. He finally spoke, but his voice was low. I didn't know she would announce it like that in front of everyone, but she had mentioned something to me a few days ago. My grip on the phone tightened. What did she say? Ethan hesitated. She said that since Brooke is younger and this is her first baby, it would be better if the spotlight stayed on her. She asked me not to make a big deal about your shower. I told her it was your day and she should respect that. I didn't think she would actually do something like this. I felt my chest tighten. So, you knew she was planning something, and you didn't tell me? Lila, I didn't think she would go this far. I thought she was just being dramatic as usual. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I need some time alone, Ethan. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I ended the call before he could say anything else. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything that had happened. The way my mother had smiled while announcing that the baby shower was for Brooke. The way my sister had stayed silent and avoided my eyes. And the way Ethan had known something, but didn't warn me. Around 2 a.m., my phone lit up again. It was a message from my mother. Come home tomorrow. We need to talk like adults. Stop creating unnecessary drama. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and started going through some old emails and documents. Something in the back of my mind had been bothering me since the baby shower. The way my mother and sister had been acting lately felt off. That's when I found something. An old email from 6 months ago, from my mother to my aunt. I had received a copy by mistake back then, but never paid attention to it. Now, as I read it again, my hands started shaking. In the email, my mother had written, Brooke's situation is getting complicated. We need to handle this carefully. If Leela finds out the truth about the baby, everything will fall apart. I read the email 3 times. My heart started beating faster. What truth? What was my mother hiding about Brooke's baby? I sat in the dark hotel room, staring at the screen. For the first time, I felt like there was much more going on than just my mother favoring my sister. Something bigger was happening, and I had a feeling that whatever it was going to change everything. I didn't sleep that night. After reading that old email, my mind was racing. The message kept playing in my head on repeat. If Leela finds out the truth about the baby, everything will fall apart. What truth? The next morning, I didn't go to my parents' house. Instead, I called Ethan and asked him to meet me at a quiet cafe. He sounded nervous on the call, but agreed. When he arrived, he looked tired. He sat down in front of me and avoided eye contact. Ethan, I said calmly, I want you to be honest with me. What is going on with Brooke's pregnancy? He stayed quiet for a long time. Then he finally spoke. Leela, Brooke was never supposed to get pregnant. I frowned. What do you mean? He took a deep breath and said, 6 months ago, Brooke got involved with someone. It was a secret relationship. When she found out she was pregnant, she panicked. She didn't want anyone to know who the father was, because the father is married. My heart started beating faster. Who is the father, Ethan? He looked down at the table and said in a low voice, It's my business partner, the one I introduced you to last year, David. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. David? I repeated. The married man with 2 kids? Ethan nodded slowly. Brooke didn't want anyone to find out. Your mother came up with the idea to announce the baby shower as yours. She thought if people believed the baby was yours, No one would ask questions about Brooke. She said it would protect the family's reputation. I stared at him in disbelief. So all of this, the baby shower, my mother's announcement, it was all a lie to cover up Brooke's affair? Ethan nodded again. I didn't agree with it, Leela. I tried to stop your mother, but she said if I told you the truth, it would destroy the family. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to hurt you. I felt tears burning in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. You stayed quiet because you were protecting them, I said, not because you were protecting me. Ethan looked guilty. I'm sorry, Leela. I should have told you. I stood up from the chair. I'm done, Ethan, I said. I'm done with all of them, and I'm done with you too. He looked up at me in shock. Lila, please. We can work this out. No, I said firmly. You knew the truth, and you still let me walk into that baby shower like a fool. You chose them over me. I can't forgive that. I picked up my bag and walked out of the cafe without looking back. That evening, I packed my bags and left the city. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just needed to get away from all of them. A few weeks later, I filed for divorce. Ethan didn't fight it. My mother tried to reach out multiple times, but I blocked her number. My sister Brooke never contacted me again. I gave birth to my baby girl 3 months later in a different city. I named her after my grandmother, the only person in my family who had ever truly loved me without conditions. Sometimes I still think about that day at the baby shower. The way my mother smiled while lying to everyone, the way my sister stayed silent, and the way my husband chose to protect their secret instead of me. But I don't regret walking away because, for the first time in my life, I chose myself and my child over people who only wanted me when it was convenient for them. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you.